Imagine sitting at the breakfast table, staring at your plate. When someone casually asks a question that sounds simple but isn't. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? It's the kind of question that makes people laugh, argue, or pause mid-bite, unsure of how to answer. This question isn't just a joke or a clever debate starter. It has been asked in classrooms, around dinner tables, and across generations. At first, it sounds playful. But the longer you think about it, the more it pulls you in. Is there really a logical answer, or is it just a clever loop with no beginning? Surprisingly, this single question has challenged philosophers, scientists, and curious minds for thousands of years. So today, we're not brushing it off as a riddle. We're taking it seriously. Is the answer the chicken, the egg, or something in between? Stay with us as we crack open this timeless mystery. Long before modern science existed, people were already arguing about this question. Ancient philosophers didn't treat it as a joke. They saw it as a serious way to understand how life itself works. One of the earliest recorded thinkers to explore it was Aristotle, who lived more than 2,300 years ago. He believed the egg came first because he viewed it as a chicken in potential form. To him, the egg already contained the future animal, simply waiting to grow. In Aristotle's view, nature moved in endless cycles. Chickens laid eggs, eggs became chickens, and the pattern continued forever. Because of this, he didn't believe there was a true first chicken or a true first egg, only an eternal loop. Many ancient cultures shared similar ideas, seeing life as something that constantly renews itself. Without microscopes, genetics, or fossil records, people relied on observation and logic. For their time, this reasoning made sense. Still, these explanations were philosophical, not scientific. They described how people believed life should work, not how it actually worked on a biological level. That understanding would come much later. Everything changed in the 19th century when biology went through a major transformation. In 1859, Charles Darwin published On the Origin of Species, introducing the theory of evolution by natural selection. This idea completely reshaped how scientists understood living organisms, including chickens. Darwin showed that species do not suddenly appear fully formed. Instead, they change gradually over many generations through small genetic variations. Animals that are better adapted to their environment are more likely to survive and reproduce. Over long periods of time, these tiny changes can transform one species into another. When this idea is applied to chickens, the picture becomes much clearer. Modern chickens didn't suddenly appear out of nowhere. They evolved from wild birds, particularly the red jungle fowl of Southeast Asia, over thousands of years. These birds changed slightly with each generation, eventually becoming the domestic chickens we recognize today. This means there was never a single moment when a non-chicken instantly became a perfect chicken. Instead, the transition happened gradually, step by step, across countless generations. Here is where science gives us its most direct answer. At some point in evolutionary history, two birds that were almost but not quite chickens reproduced. Because of a small genetic mutation, their offspring was slightly different from its parents. That difference made it the first true chicken. And where did that first chicken come from? From an egg. That egg contained new genetic information that defined what we now call a chicken. The parents were extremely close, but technically not chickens yet. Their offspring was. So, scientifically speaking, the egg came first, but not an egg laid by a chicken. It was laid by a near-chicken ancestor. This explanation fits perfectly with what we know about evolution. New species always begin as small genetic changes inside offspring. Those changes happen during early development, inside eggs or wombs. In this case, the first true chicken began its life inside an egg. In recent years, scientists added an interesting twist to this debate by studying a protein known as ovoclidin 17, often called OC17. Researchers from the University of Warwick and the University of Sheffield examined how this protein helps form the hard shell of a chicken egg. OC17 plays an important role in guiding calcium crystals as they form a strong, organized eggshell inside a hen's reproductive system. What caught public attention was the discovery that this protein is produced in the hen's body, not inside the egg itself. Because of this, some headlines claim that a chicken must have existed first in order to produce OC17, suggesting that the chicken came before the egg. However, scientists urge caution with this conclusion. While OC17 is especially important in chickens, similar proteins exist in other birds and evolved gradually over time. The ancestors of chickens already had earlier versions of eggshell-forming proteins long before modern chickens appeared. Over many generations, these proteins slowly changed and became more specialized. So even though OC17 helps create eggshells in today's chickens, it did not suddenly appear out of nowhere. It evolved alongside the species. Rather than disproving evolution, this evidence supports it. It shows that the biological tools needed to produce chicken eggs were already developing before the first true chicken existed. So what's the final answer? When philosophy, evolution, and modern biology are considered together, the conclusion becomes clear. The egg came first, specifically, an egg laid by a bird that was almost a chicken, but not quite. Inside that egg was the first true chicken. This answer doesn't destroy the mystery, makes it even more fascinating. It reminds us that life doesn't move in neat, simple steps. It evolves slowly and quietly through countless tiny changes. Every living thing today is the result of millions of years of small experiments carried out by nature. So the next time someone asks this classic question, you'll know the real story. It isn't just a joke. It's a window into how life itself works one egg at a time. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories hidden within the smallest details.